But if we were mistaken about that, would you want to know about that?
I don't know if it matters. Like, I don't know if I'd want to know either way, if it's true or not. I don't think that. Hmm.
Would you say that there has been knowledge that is not true?
Based on the resilient information.
We're just chatting right now, waiting for someone to talk to us. Yeah.
Actually?
Want to do it?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I don't. Where do I sit?
There.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do one next, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right here.
Whose channel is this? Both of you guys?
We each have a channel.
Okay, cool. I'm Isabella, by the way.
I'm David.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. This is cool. This is like official YouTube stuff.
Official.
Official, very official.
Yeah. Everything's running right now, right?
I think so. Double check. It should be. Looks like it.
I don't have much to talk about. I just think this is pretty interesting. I have some time to kill.
Okay. Alrighty. Isabella?
Isabella.
Isabella. So are you from Naples or just coming in for vacation over the holidays?
I have lived here my whole life, actually. I was born in New York, but my parents moved down here when I was like 10 months old. So Naples raised, basically.
Naples raised.
Mm-hmm.
You were born in New York, though?
Yeah, New York City. My parents, my mom's from Long Island and my dad is from Romania. So they wanted to.
Romania.
Yeah, Romania.
Have you ever been over there?
I have been. It's really cool. I've got grandparents or grandma over there still and some aunts and uncles, but pretty small side of the family, so we don't go over there very often.
So yeah, what we do here is like to chat with people about ideas or beliefs they have, and I ask them questions to help them critically reflect on it, and I get to learn about stuff and get to help people explore ideas in it.
Cool. Which direction does that usually go? Like you ask a question for debate or? Like
Yeah, we don't want to ideally debate. I mainly just, hear you out and potentially ask a little bit of challenging questions every now and then.
Okay.
But mainly try to understand. It could be anything from politics, philosophy, religion, spirituality, science. I let anybody pick the topic, really.
I guess something that I've been thinking about a lot recently is like the relationship between spirituality and science, because there's an obvious relationship there, but I don't know if you have something to shed about that. That would be a cool thing to talk about.
Sure. You can ask that question. What's the relationship between spirituality and science?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think that science comes from spirituality, in my opinion, that if you are deeply spiritual, one of the main, tenets of being spiritual is to like always explore. And from that comes science. Like you can get so many answers about, the soul from ancient texts and philosophies and whatnot, but you don't really have an answer of like, why are the leaves green on the trees? So you have to like explore that. I don't know, but I guess it doesn't have to be from a spiritual lens.
Yeah. Do you need is like the spirituality part promoting or influencing the curiosity that we then use science to learn about the world? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. That the curiosity is something that, I don't know if people are born with curiosity or like if you're kind of taught to question things, but I've become more curious as I got older, I think. But it's hard to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah, spirituality. Any other thoughts on that as just a general concept? You mentioned soul. Do we have to have souls in order for spirituality as a concept to make sense?
I think so. I think that to be a spiritual being, it's different from being a physical being, in my opinion. So I guess science could be figuring out the physical while spirituality's figuring out the non-physical, the metaphysical. But you could explore them in the same ways, I guess.
Yeah, could there be a science of the soul?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that's why I like psychology so much, or that kind of sounds like that, you know?
What do you mean by soul?
It's a hard thing to figure out because recently I've tried becoming more spiritual and like a sense of meditating more, and it's a hard thing to get in touch with because you don't feel it unless you feel it. Does that make sense? It's a hard thing to define more than anything. But you feel it. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I guess I would love a better definition of the soul.
Yeah, whenever you feel those feelings, the best way to make sense of them is to invoke this concept of a soul. What is the soul about? Where does that come from? Is that a supernatural thing? Did we have it when we were, at conception or later? How does that work?
I think you have it at conception, that the soul is like innate to your being, but you can only figure it out later. Like some people can go their whole lives without accessing their soul.
Yeah, like so sperm and egg don't have souls, but when they come together, where does the soul part come from?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's that beautiful burst of energy that comes at the moment of conception.
A burst of energy?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Somehow.
Somehow.
Gets in there at some point. And the way to know, what's the best way to know we have a soul or humans have souls? Do only humans have souls, or is it more than humans?
I wouldn't know if other things have souls. I would like to think that trees have souls. I think that humans have souls because we're able to understand each other, I would say, or you can work off of other people's emotions, and even if you haven't felt that emotion, you're able to understand it. I think there's like the ability to relate to each other, I think is kind of, it's a bizarre thing to do, but it makes me feel like there's big emotions that we can all relate to. And even if someone's feeling like a smaller division of that emotion, like you're able to understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can potentially feel how other people are feeling and relate to them because we know what it feels like to feel a certain way. We can recognize it in other people sometimes.
Yeah, I think a little bit more than recognition, though. It's like, it's not that you're recognizing it in yourself, or that you can, I don't know how to put that into words exactly. But I like to think of things like in a collective sense, that like we all can experience this emotion, that it's easy to relate to someone else who is experiencing that emotion, even if you haven't before.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
We have the capacity
Yeah.
to relate to people, and we do that in some way using our soul.
I think so. And that's why I don't think that it's impossible to say like dogs don't have souls, because you know that they feel joy and pain with their owners or with other dogs or their pack and things like that. So I don't think that it's limited to humans, is it? Another thing.
Could it be possible souls don't exist at all?
Yeah, it could. That would upset me though,
Why would it upset you?
because having a soul makes me feel like I'm linked to everything else in a more profound way than we're here and then we die. It would be nice to think that we all have souls and that that's somewhere we get to go later on. But it, just as well we don't.
It'd be a bummer if we all weren't linked together in some more special way than if we were just merely physical beings, physical humans.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a difference. This is, I guess, what kind of helps me think that some people have souls, is that there's some people that you connect with on like a purely physical level. And I don't mean like sex or anything like that. It's just like you can relate to them on what physically excites them. Or there's some people that you have like a deeper understanding of their emotions, and it's not like a physical sense of I know this person. It's like a deeper emotional sense. Does that make sense? That's kind of a like a level to the relationship.
A soul potentially help certain people relate to each other in a more deep way.
I think so.
Is the soul the best explanation for why people connect in better or worse ways?
Maybe not the best explanation, but it's what I call it.
Hmm. And a soul also is a good thing to eventually believe, because we also might survive our deaths if we have souls.
Yeah, I don't think in like the religious sense that, you know, you're going to be still a physical human walking around heaven, totally fine, but to know that you're connected to something higher and that you can kind of hold on to that and know that like everything is going to continue and that your soul will be a part of it, or that your ideas are just going to be not gone, but reinterpreted or reused.
So it's not like a walking in the clouds or that type of heaven or afterlife. It's something different.
I think so. I'm not sure, you know. I just think that to talk about your soul and your body, they're different things, right? So if you're leaving the physical behind, how can it come with you?
Hmm.
You know?
So it's not, it won't be like in a physical representation in some like ghost way. It'll be some different thing.
Yeah, maybe an orb of light or something.
Orb of light. Does it matter to you if that's true or not?
Which part is true or not?
If we have souls, if we become orbs of light after we die.
I guess I would say it's important to me if that's true, because it's something that I like to talk about, you know? And it's something that I have been trying to explore more. So I guess when I am asking these questions, I want it to be validated, right? Like, tell me that the soul is real and that I'm going somewhere. But if it's not true, maybe it's the same thing, you know? Like you're just leaving the physical behind anyways, and it's like, what happened before you were born? I don't know. What happened after you were born?
Would
I
you
don't
live
know.
any differently if it was not true?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, that's hard to say. I,
What would you miss?
what would I miss?
Yeah. Yeah. What would your life be missing if this wasn't the case, that souls exist?
I think I'd think I was a little bit crazier, because I believe that I'm tuning into something when I'm meditating and reading and being mindful in the moment, right? That I'm speaking to something of my soul. But if that's not real, then what is real? Or like what's the point in being mindful if I'm that connection that I think that I have isn't a real connection? Does that make sense?
Yeah. If you're not connecting to your soul, is that what you're saying you are doing? Is connecting with your soul
I
when
think
when you're
so.
being mindful?
I think so.
What is the second best thing to explain what that is about, but without invoking a soul? Are you connecting with something else? What would that be?
So, yeah, I mean, the other thing that I think is like you're just connecting with yourself, right? Just another part of your physical self, I guess.
Okay.
What would you think?
Yeah, like I think I have a self. Some people say even when you meditate that the self goes away and it's just like pure conscious experience.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I think I am merely a physical mind when I experience the world, and my consciousness is a emergent property of the brain. So if I can meditate and have that pure conscious experience, I'm just feeling what it's like to be a mind.
Yeah, right. But I think that our minds are so heavily influenced by, our upbringing and the physical things and pain and happiness. That it can be, or for me, it's really, really difficult to just experience being a mind. So those little peaks of it that I do get, of like getting rid of the connections that I've made between what makes me happy and why it makes me happy, and just kind of floating. I've felt that maybe like once or twice. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. What was that last thing that you said?
Yeah, it just the pure conscious experience versus potentially connecting with your soul. I think it is. There's nothing.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see where I was going now. I think it would be just as likely to say that I'm connecting with a part of myself that doesn't recognize myself, rather than like a deeper part of my soul. Like it's the same self, but not expressed in the same way. So it's like, am I actually diving deep into my soul, or is it just something that I'm thinking differently about in just a physical as way? But I can't say to myself, oh, I'm not thinking about this in terms of physical limitations.
Yeah, it's still the result of a physical process, not anything to do with the soul. Would that be fine?
Yeah, why not? I think you can gain the same things from understanding that as you do from understanding your so-called soul.
Yeah. And is there, if it mattered about the truth of the soul, because of all the benefits it might bring to us in terms of being connected to something higher or surviving our deaths, that seems like something important to figure out. What would be a good way to figure that out? How could we tell if we're mistaken if we're believing in a soul and it turns out it's not real?
I don't like the term surviving your death. Do you know what I mean? I think that when you're dying, you are dying. And that there's not really, like, it's not going to be the same form of consciousness
Moving on from your physical body.
Right. But I don't know if, like, your thoughts will be the same. Like, the thoughts and the way that you think about things, how much of that is completely physical, and even you observing your own thoughts, that's still physical. Like, it's hard to say. For me personally, it's really hard to understand what part is the soul and what part is physical. So, I don't know.
Whatever that process is, whatever you want to say about it in terms of the benefit of being an orb of light or whatever after our physical body no longer works.
Okay.
That's a one potential benefit I'm hearing. If that is true, if it's, that would be an important thing to know if that was the case, potentially. But if we were mistaken about that, would you want to know about that?
I don't know if it matters. Like, I don't know if I'd want to know either way, if it's true or not. I don't think that,
Would you take less risks or be more risky one way or the other?
like, if I knew for sure.
Seems like I would be less worried about taking risks if I knew I could just, if this body is just disposable in some sense.
Yeah. It would be easier to take risk knowing that just pop right back up.
Yeah, if my consciousness is dependent in some form on my body and mind, I might be a little more careful. Climbing up cliffs or something.
Right. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Sure.
I think that a lot of people that even believe that their soul gets transcended, you're not risking your life often, because I don't think that people, even if they do think that their soul transcends, want to die from this life, because there's a fear associated with it, even with a faith in that it's going to be okay. So I don't know if I would be less risky, just because, like, if I don't know, actually, because if you knew for certain, then, like, what's the point? Like, who cares? I'll die right now, right?
Yeah. This life might have its value, but if souls exist, then everything will be okay, because you'll just live on in some other form. But if it's not the case, everything won't be okay. This is all we got, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, because I think most of the time when people think they have, or when I hear people talk about the soul and, like, reincarnation, it's like you're not coming back to your same life anyways. So even if this is the one time in the one life you have to do what you want. So if you do have a soul and it does go somewhere, you're not coming to the same place. So you basically do have one time or one moment in this life, even if you reincarnate, even if you're in heaven. It's like, this is the only time that you're going to be here.
Yeah. It won't be the same.
Right.
With the soul being a part of it.
Right.
But I think it is a little vastly different if there's no soul. Like, this life is even potentially more special.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be fair?
I don't know. Like, to say that it's more special, yeah, because it's more unique. It's more rare to experience this than if, this is my 100,000th life. I just don't know. Yeah. I could agree with that.
So if we wanted to know if there was a soul or not, because of the potential implications of that, what would be a good way to figure that out?
I don't know how you would measure this. I was in a lab in my senior year, like undergraduate, about consciousness and awe, and how feeling awe makes you kind of awaken, like, an inner spirituality and, like, find more meaning in your life and whatnot. But I always struggled with, are there levels of that consciousness that, one person experiences? Like, some people that you talk to, it's like, you cannot possibly think the same level that I'm on, I guess. Not to be rude, but I guess if there were levels of that consciousness, if you could measure that, I don't know. I think it would be so impossible to measure if there's actually a soul.
Well, how does levels of consciousness relate to a soul existing?
Yeah, I would, because if you could say that a soul reincarnates, then, like, a more developed consciousness would mean, like, a more experienced soul.
You increase in level of consciousness after reincarnating, potentially?
I don't know. Maybe. That seems like some sort of explanation for it. Like,
can you change levels of consciousness in this life?
I don't know about that one. I don't know. That would be really cool, and I have been trying to do that, but I, at the moment, feel like I'm really stuck, or like I haven't. Sorry, that's my friend that's been calling me.
Sorry. Want to wrap it up? We can, if you gotta go.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Probably wrap it up. Like, last question. Like, does consciousness require a soul?
No, I don't think so. Ooh, I don't think it has to. Because it's just as likely that we don't have them and we're still conscious.
Just as likely.
Yeah.
How do we know that?
I think it's just a 50-50. Like
Is that,
you
is
have
that
it
how
or you
probability
don't.
works?
Maybe.
Either it's true or false that a soul exists. Therefore, it's 50% probable that a soul exists.
Is that how it works? I
Well,
know that
we can
Elon Musk said there's a 50% chance that we're living in a simulation because we either are or we aren't. So,
Yeah, maybe we'll leave it at thinking about possibility versus probability. Something to think about.
someone else can pick that up.
Yeah, we'll pick that up later. Thank you, Isabella.
Yeah, thank you so much. Reed, right?
Reed, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Nice to meet you.
Being so much louder than I
It's fine.
was. Thank you so much.